Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have a video quickly around the whole aspect of regulation that's going on at the moment, particularly here in the UK, where a lot of you, including myself, have received a multitude of emails over the last couple of weeks about certain services potentially being dissolved from some of the exchanges that we use. And in addition to this, some exchanges even pulling out of the UK altogether, for now at least. So we'll go into a bit more detail about why that is and what's going on, and just things to look out for and things to think about as well, especially over this kind of like year or two period where we will potentially come into a new bull cycle. We should be prepared ahead of ourselves and ahead of time before these kind of timeframes come along. For those that are new, please do smash the subscribe button, and hopefully you enjoy the content from the channel. We have a multitude of different topics and discussions. Been a bit of a crazy couple of weeks here at home, so hopefully we can get some more videos out there more often than not over these coming weeks. So guys, let's go straight into this one. First of all, I thought it's best to start here. So if you remember, or those that have been on subscribed to us for some time, around June, July time this year, we provided information around two areas of very big interest here in the United Kingdom relating to essentially tokenization or crypto assets in general. One being the Trade Finance Distribution Electronic Trade Act, and the other being this one, Financial Services and Markets Act 2023. Now, very conveniently came around similar times and were announced via royal assent within about a week or so of each other, if I remember correctly. And we envisioned that around September, October time, these both would come pretty much live, albeit there's a lack of education, in my opinion, in the general public. These have been going on for some time. So the conversations, the actual law creation, if you like, the back and forth has been going on for some time on both of those areas. But this one is the main one for this topic and conversation today's video. It's heavily relating around how exchanges or crypto assets should conduct themselves moving forward, whether it be the marketing side or how we as users use these solutions and services and how they provide them as well. So a lot of these companies, of course, are orientated abroad. There's a lot of law and regulation around there in general that actually you should have UK domains and potentially UK entities if you're looking to operate properly under the infrastructure of the financial industry here in the United Kingdom, particularly through the Bank of England, etc. We'll go into a bit more detail about that in a second as well. But this was the Market or Service and Markets Act that came about, had the royal assent, and became live in September. As I said, both of them coming live as well in that period of time. So this is very much heavily orientated around the utilization of crypto assets, digital currencies in general, and stable coins as well. There are three key areas of this law passing, and that is coming to fruition for sure right now. And we see the reactions to this now. So first of all, the general public usage of crypto assets will be good for the United Kingdom moving forward. However, the way we buy and sell and the way we use the exchanges, or indeed have these solutions provided to us, will change significantly. I think a lot of the exchanges, a lot of the companies, the bigger ones certainly, have been working on this for a long time, particularly the likes of Binance as a prime example of some of the things that they've done recently based on that news way back earlier this year of these changes coming. So you guys out there, including myself, have maybe received some emails. I've received some from crypto.com, Binance in general, Bybit as well, although I don't remember using Bybit in the past. I must have signed up or something. They informed me that they are stopping their services in the United Kingdom. Crypto.com are reducing some of their services as well, and the abilities potentially for withdrawing and depositing crypto back and forth from your bank account to your exchanges as well. So there's loads going on, and I think there's some bigger questions always in my head. We'll go into those shortly as well. But these are the articles from about 6-7 months ago around why UK transactions were stopped and the GBP fiat ramping stopped as well within the service offering too. So it became a bit more difficult. Some banks still allowed it, for you to be able to continue these services, and some just completely eradicated. So it's very different for different people. But the orientation on the story is that as time has gone by, many have changed. So we have this article here, why some crypto firms are suspending services in the UK. So all the things we just talked about with the legislation, there's 3 critical points here. So new promotions rule that require crypto firms to provide clear risk labels and implement system changes are coming into effect as of yesterday of recording, 8th of October. So what this means is that a lot of asset companies or crypto exchanges and companies in general, service solutions, were not prompting enough, or supposedly not prompting enough, the risks involved in trading in general, but the holding and the usage of assets. And we've seen clearly, for example, and the FTX is always used as a prime example in the industry right now. It's almost like the bad egg, well, it kind of was, in the way that how people lost a lot of money or had money suspended, not being able to withdraw, etc., and the complications behind that. So you as a user need to be very clear on the risk management perspective of the money that you're putting in and how risky it may be, where you may not even get that back. You may lose it all, as well as the potential gain opportunities, of course. And this is very reflective on what the stock markets have been doing for many years anyway, to be honest. But it's now coming into fruition for crypto, and in my opinion, rightly so to an extent. I think there's some other plays for sure occurring in the background, but this is something that really needs to be done if you want mass adoption and more people coming in these next bull runs or these market shifts over the coming years. You have to have more confidence and trust in this, because I think this whole topic around the word scam, I talked about this on a recent video that we did with We Are Tottenham TV around the fan tokens, about that orientation of why people are so angry about it, and people just associate crypto with the word scam all the time, right? So to move away from that, this is very imperative. And the UK government, particularly from the Innovation Hub perspective, the blockchain integrations, know full well the power and the opportunity with crypto-related projects and technologies using blockchain, etc., and the integrations of IoT and AI and so on and so forth. They understand this is coming, but in order to do that, it really need to be heavily regulated, especially if it's coming to our banks as well. The second point on here, some international crypto firms serving UK clients have decided to pause certain services until they're compliant with the new rules. So as I said, the likes of Bybit have pulled out. Whether they come back or not is another question. But there's another multitude of countries that have operations of crypto projects who are operating here in the UK or providing services here in the UK and don't abide by the regulations rules. And of course, you don't want the FCA coming after you if that is the case. And then finally, point here is the local regulators concerned some other overseas firms aren't ready to comply with the regime, hence why the shut off and the control aspect to it, the powering down of these solutions coming across. It said here about unregistered firm Bybit. This word unregistered is something that we need to get used to because of this new law passing and regulation coming in. There's essentially a warning list. Some exchanges may get away with it for a while, but it will come onto the warning list of the FCA's website and the directives to us as users to say, actually, we don't trust this, therefore you shouldn't. So all of these exchanges that really want the UK market penetration are going to have to abide by this for sure. What was interesting as well, of course, we covered a few months back PayPal offering the crypto asset services here in the UK and the ability to buy crypto through exchanges or via PayPal directly. They came out very quickly shortly afterwards to say that actually we're pausing the UK services until at least October. I need to double check whether they are actually allowed yet or not. I'm sure it's imminent if not so. But again, that point of, cool, we're going to announce that we can do this, but you might have to wait so we can abide by the regulations and rules. So even the bigger companies like PayPal have been around for years with hundreds upon hundreds of millions of users worldwide, and particularly here in the UK, have had to abide as well. So it's a really strict measure coming in. And of course, the marketing rules are very important as well. We just mentioned a minute ago about the aspect of risk perspectives when we're using crypto assets or any kind of trading or holding of assets in general. But the particular interesting thing about the major law passing is the utilization of digital currencies in general, the whole aspect of it, and things like stable coins too. So this can be very reflective on companies who were creating their own stablecoins, as well as infrastructures of governments and parliamentary levels that were creating stablecoins also. And you're going to see a lot more firms, a lot more businesses coming out with their own stablecoins to match up with that reserve currency aspect to stop that volatility and safeguard the aspect of potential things like extra fees and things like that being added on. So huge, absolutely huge developments here of what's been occurring. And I'm just going to mention this a couple of times as well, because I think you're going to see a lot more of this from the major exchanges that we use if they haven't done so already. So Binance prepares for UK's financial promotions regime by doing a dedicated domain. So this is actually a tweet come out quite recently from ZZ about the UK. So Binance launches UK domain in compliance with the new Financial Promotions Act. In compliance with the updated financial promotions regime, Binance has launched a new domain for UK users. So if you can think about this, in a couple of years' time, if you've got new people coming into the space, they've seen all the news, the scams, the things over the last many years, including more recent ones, when they've got more UK domains out there and more credibility aspects to that, particularly for the UK market, you're going to get a lot more people coming in without as much thought as perhaps before. So it is a good thing, in my opinion, the whole thing, in the sense of the lead up to these upcoming markets for us that hold crypto assets and have been accumulating. We'll have these new people coming in, and then you get the fluctuation, the hypes, the narratives that go on, as most markets do in these times. So I think it's a good thing. I do also have a slightly on the fence aspect, in the sense of potential areas of where we have this topic around decentralisation and centralisation. I think a lot more controls going back to the government and to the banks around crypto assets in general. And it kind of defeats the object of how cryptocurrency came about originally. And I think that was just a natural evolution, because if you're going to come into today's society, you have to abide and adapt to the powers that be. As much as we perhaps don't want it in certain instances and cases, that is just life. And, throughout the pandemic and many other situations where things got pushed upon us and we had to do it, because otherwise you get forced out of the society circle. It's no different to the financial market and the financial industry as well, in my opinion. So again, there's a question mark around how much are we giving away here? And then also the element of control versus safety. I always remember one of my favorite films, Enemy of the State, where it's talking way back about security surveillance, and particularly obviously after events in 2001, security became a huge thing, where a lot of people argued against surveillance and things, then welcomed it because of the security aspects to it. It's the same with what's happened with cashless society, where people were against it. It became a solution. People got used to it. It's now normal. And loads of other things are going on. And I feel like there's a pattern here with the financial industry now, because ultimately when we're holding ledgers and our own keys and things, yes, we have more control than ever before. And that's ultimately the part of decentralization, or you owning your keys, you having more responsibility of your finances. But I feel like a lot of that has been clawed back significantly with some of these acts coming in and control mechanisms. And I've always believed, and I do make a prediction here, this is not advice or anything, just a prediction, that I believe, and based on things that I've heard and seen at things like Digital Pound Foundation events, that by 2025 or around this period of time, we will start seeing banks providing the services of crypto asset holdings, withdrawals and deposits within your own banks. So I'm with Barclays, for example. I do anticipate eventually, because of the ISO 222 compliance for the digitalization of assets and also the new messaging services, I do anticipate with the blockchain integration that we will be able to hold our assets in our banks. And they would love that, because they're not losing the liquidity anymore, where all the money transferred across into crypto exchanges and crypto markets. They can start pulling this back. And that's why I think the evaluation around stable coins and these acts coming in is very convenient, very coincidental, and the timing of it as well before the next bull run. Because the banks can have this time that they've had over the last year or two to catch up and implement the technologies. The new engine of the RTGS is coming in, by the way, next year. This is the remittance system going live fully around November 2025, which is, in my opinion, where we'll see the big next bull run. It's very coincidental, in my opinion. So I see why they're doing it. I think it's a good thing for market introductions to people that aren't in the crypto space right now. But also I see the element of surprise, the element of what's going on in the background that we can't see physically or with our eyes, but we know that's potentially, if not already happening, and certainly things that I've heard and seen as well. So what's occurring really is the ultimate question, and where does the point come where crypto perhaps doesn't have that feeling that we've had over the many years? I've been new-ish to crypto back in 2019, arguably. I knew of blockchain way before that. But as a trader and things, there's been pockets of cycles. I do just wonder if 2025, this area is one of the big last significant areas before we get that stability and maturity in the markets. But on top of that, with the use of regulation, the use of law, the acts coming in, this mechanism of potential, I say control versus safety. I do believe there's a safety narrative, but I think there's a control mechanism here. I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to know your opinions, but I'm just talking about experiences from a multitude of years that I've at least been alive for, where I just see what's going on. I just see things differently, and maybe they're theories, maybe they're predictions that don't come about, but majority of them have, and that's not down to me. That's just the reality of the observations that occur. So really interested to know what you guys think. But there's a reason here. I mean, the other question I do always have is like, well, banks and everything are so scared of crypto, but they're not scared of us gambling. You can go to a casino and spend all you want. You can use betting apps, albeit they allow you to put your own restrictions on there. Well, why aren't the banks putting restrictions on for you? But with crypto, they block it. And it's absolutely crazy. But now the regulation and acts are coming in, I think we'll see a bit of a reversal on that. But I still think they'll bring in proper limitations to this, because the banks won't want their money going out of your bank into other exchanges and platforms. It's simple as that. That's how they obtain the interest. It's how they obtain printing more money by having more depository and creditory notes within the banking system. When you take that out and you put that into exchanges, unless you pull it back in, fiat into your bank, they've lost that money. And I think that's happened a lot more than ever before, especially with the likes of Bitcoin coming in. More people are scapegoating themselves into things like Bitcoin and other asset depositories. And the banks have been worried about this for some time, which is why I think the government's acted significantly quick. And I've already said, back in 2021, I did a video that Sunak would be the next Prime Minister. King Charles would be there to sign everything off. It's happened, and it's happened with two major critical aspects of tokenization and crypto assets in general in the short space of time this year. It's not coincidental, in my opinion. Or it's very convenient. I'm using tongue in cheek here, but yes, the build-up has been there. The innovation hub is there. Blockchain technology is here to stay. Crypto assets are here to stay. Just dependent on the monetary aspect of it for us as users. But ultimately, I believe utility tokens will move significantly forwards. And this whole branding ethos, tokenization of the economy will be significant these years to come. CBDCs, of course, a whole bunch of narratives for this next year or two, for this next bull cycle. But I thought I'd bring this topic to the attention because you can learn more about it yourselves. Of course, I definitely advise, and I'll leave a link to it, to have a read through, not necessarily the whole thing, but at least snippets of this new government bill, this new law, actually, to be fair. It's important to understand, because then you can observe, what do you want to do potentially with your assets that are in exchanges? Do you want to take them off? Do you want to just do what you need to do and then get them off as soon as possible, which is what I always do personally? There's a multitude of things. A lot of people might be put off. A lot of people may come in because of these things coming into play, more confidence and trust, as I said earlier. But the question marks remain. It's still early days, but you're seeing the reactions, and that's why you're getting the notifications, guys. So keep an eye out for them. Don't be too put off. But as I say with most of the videos, learn as much as you can yourself. Research yourselves. Do your own research. And you'll find a lot of interesting information out there, and to help you with some of the decision making with your assets that you hold in your portfolios. Guys, I'm going to wrap that video up there. Got a few more to get through today. Hopefully you've relatively enjoyed this one and had a bit more information thrown at you. We will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.